Welcome to the S.E.M podcast. I'm Jack Bryce. We'll excuse Zack tonight. He's tuckered out. And we're joined by Glen Parmenter tonight. And Glen and I served together the last 5 months of both of our missions. So we'll talk a lot about that. But that also means we started at the same time in the MTC. We actually both left Arizona and came back to Arizona. So we were on the plane ride out and back together. Pretty unique. But Glen, where are you calling from tonight?
I am calling from Arlington, Texas.
All right. Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yep.
Cool. Well, so glad you could join us. I've been like none of my companions have wanted to come on. I actually we had Livingston and Reed on together. I think Livingston was one of your companions as well, right?
Yeah, he was. We served together on. He's my second companion. We served on the Shetland Islands together.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's start out with pre-mission. Tell us a little bit about the timing of getting your call, if there's any story to go along with that.
So before my mission, we were living in Arizona. We had actually moved from Montana to Arizona my senior year. So before I got my mission call, I was working for a security company called Securitas, and I was working from Wednesday to Sunday. And so after I submitted my mission call, I held on to the mailbox key basically the entire time, because every night I would come home and check the mailbox. And so I don't remember what day it was or what day I actually got the call. I just remember coming home one night, finding that paper in there. Everybody's asleep. It's probably like 11 o'clock at night. And so I was sitting on the stairs. I think it was my mom and dad, my middle older brother, and me. And I think my sister was there, but I don't remember. But we were sitting on the stairs of the house. There's a front came inside the front door, and there's stairs that go up to the second floor. And that's where I opened my call.
So do you wake them up when you got home then?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think they were still awake. They may have been. I may have had to wake up my parents because they generally like 8 or 9 o'clock. So
yeah. And I'm guessing you said Edinburgh, just like the rest of us.
Oh, I don't even. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you get your call? Do you remember like month?
I think it was. I don't remember which month. I think it was. It had to have been towards the end of 2003. So it's probably September or October.
Okay. That's when I got mine.
Yeah, because I went out a little later, because I think I turned 19, and then I submitted my papers like a few months later, or something like that. Something like that.
Cool. All right. So pretty straightforward. Got the call, answered it with the family.
Yep.
Got ready to go and went.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, skipping forward then. So I guess February 2006 we got home. What have you been up to since then?
So since then,
I know there's a lot. You can tell us as much or as little as you want.
So I moved out to Idaho so my parents, they moved out to Colorado shortly after I got home from my mission. And so for a few months, I stayed with one of the guys that was in my singles ward. And then shortly after that, I moved to Idaho. And that's where I met my wife, Amy. And so fast forward a little bit, I met her in 2010. So I was going to college at BYU, Idaho, where I was getting my communications degree, and so I was about done. But I met her in 2000. I was working between that time, so I was taking online classes and working. I'd work in the morning from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then I take afternoon classes plus online classes. So I'd be up doing homework probably till about 2, 3 a.m. And then I'd go to sleep for a couple hours. I'd wake up and go to work again.
Man.
so then I met Amy in about 2010. There wasn't really much in Idaho as far as job wise and things like that. So we ended up moving out here to Texas, where we've been for the last almost 12 years. So we moved out here in 2011, end of 2011, beginning of 2012.
Where's she from?
They're originally from Rochester, New York, upstate
Okay.
New York,
Upstate New
over
York.
by the Palmyra area.
Yeah.
Her dad, right when she came out to college, her dad got a job for Southwest Airlines. And so they moved out to Texas, and then we kind of followed shortly behind that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So you've been in Texas for like 10 years now?
Yeah, since end of 2011. So 11,
Wow.
almost 12 years. It's kind of crazy. Coming from Montana, I never thought I'd ever be living in Texas. I thought I'd forever be in Montana doing who knows what.
So what have you been doing in Texas?
Mainly just trying to find good work. So I've worked a lot of different jobs. Um, I worked at a healthcare company. I did this one company, like they were providing uniforms for the police officers and things like that. I was there for a few months. Apparently I wasn't picking it up fast enough, so they kind of nixed me. and then after that, I worked for Leslie's Pool Supplies for a little bit.
Yeah.
Never took care of a pool in my life, but they taught me how to test water and tell people how to take care of their pools.
There you go.
So, I mean, in theory, I should be able to take care of a pool, but I don't know.
Do you have one?
My in-laws do.
Okay.
So yeah. So then now I got a job at Southwest Airlines a year ago. So I've been working for last year, I've been working down on the ramp, stacking and loading and unloading those bags that come on those airplanes.
That's great.
So,
I'm a little bit jealous because I know that's extremely hard work, but you got to be in way better physical shape than I am sitting at a desk. So,
well, I wasn't when I first started. I
yeah.
was about 55 pounds heavier, and that first couple of weeks, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But
Yeah. But
a
you did.
year later, I did it. Took me 10 years to get in, and I wasn't going anywhere. So,
Wow. That's great. And you have a daughter, right?
I do. I have a 3-year-old daughter. Her name is Casey. She's 3. She's turning 4 in December, and she's just as stubborn as me. And so sometimes it's a little bit hard because it's like arguing with myself, and I can't argue with myself. It just doesn't work.
Extra hard having a little girl.
Oh my gosh, she's something else. I'll tell you what.
That's fun. Very good. And you have a book. You can shout out to everybody.
I do. I do. So, you know me. We even had a little bit of a falling out because of it. But so you know me, I like to try different things to make money and stuff. And So I alienated a few people, which kind of sucks, which makes sense. And I understand because other people that come at me, I'm like, guys. But I wrote a book just about all this different stuff I've been trying. So just different ways to, make more money, increase your income, different ways to invest better, invest safer, and be more educated. And then just kind of different ways to build your wealth in both the traditional and non-traditional ways. So I focused a lot on the stuff that was currently working for me, but also has worked for other people. And it's kind of mainly 90%. It's just basically kind of a personal finance book. And so I just call it Master Your Money Mindset Life, learn how to earn 24/7, invest smarter, and build your wealth. And so it's 32 short pages. And I just threw it up on Amazon because I learned about this method of selling low to no content blank books. And so I was just like, oh, I'll just throw it on Amazon and see if I can sell some copies of it. So I sold a few copies. I know one of them was my mom and probably my sister.
That's good.
And then I have a supervisor at work. I don't know if he's bought it yet, but he keeps asking me about it.
So if you want Glen's book, you can search for him on Amazon. It's there. He's the author by
it's
name.
there.
You used your real name as an author, right? So people search for Glen
Yeah,
Parmenter.
I did use my name. That's right.
And he'll probably even sign your copy for you.
I'd be happy to.
There you go. All right, man. That's great. That's still on my bucket list. Someday have a book about something sometime. I have an idea for it.
Yeah.
Writing about the mission, maybe like we're doing this podcast, so maybe taking experiences from other people. And
totally should.
I want to title it "Saved by Grace," though, in honor of grace.
I love it.
So I think that has a lot of personal meaning to me, that phrase. So
yeah.
All right, so we'll go back. You can start. I told this story kind of a little bit about how our flight was delayed coming out of Phoenix, and actually your family was so nice. They invited my family over to your house because we lived, like 150 miles away, so we couldn't go home while everybody else
quite
did.
A while, yeah.
Yeah. So your mom invited us over. We didn't take her up on the offer, but that was so nice of her to.
Oh, I didn't know she invited you guys over.
Yeah.
At least I don't remember that.
She was like, "Hey, you come hang out with us, have lunch," and because we were supposed to leave in the morning, right? But then our flight was delayed till I think 10 p.m. or something, like late at night.
Yeah, it was delayed pretty late. Like we got to, like we flew from Edinburgh to London Heathrow.
Yeah, direct from Phoenix to London.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we almost missed our connection up to Manchester.
Oh, coming too.
Yeah.
Wait, we flew out on the same plane going out there?
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah.
We did not.
There was like 8 of us from Phoenix going to Preston. We did. We just didn't know each other at the time.
We did not.
I'm serious. You, me, Clarkson, and there was a few other guys.
Yeah, because in Manchester, that's where Sister Bogomolova, now Vertigan, because we met up with her in Manchester, right?
I think so. I don't recall. Like after we got on the plane in Phoenix, I was tired. I don't remember like how I even got to the MTC from there.
I remember driving to the MTC.
Do you?
But I remember thinking like, I don't even know if we're on the right side of the road or which direction we're going.
Yeah.
But
we flew out on the same flight.
See, I don't remember that.
All right.
That's funny.
I remember.
But I didn't know my parents had invited you. So my parents had invited you to come back for dinner and then to go back.
Yeah. Like to kill time between when we actually needed to leave.
Huh. All right.
Because we were all there and like our flight was delayed, our initial flight. So
it got delayed late.
the group of families were like communicating with the church travel agency, and figuring everything out. So, because I had to leave at like 5 a.m. to get over there in time. I thought.
Yeah, that's true.
But then it was delayed. So my family.
Because that's about a 3-4 hour drive for you guys, right?
Yeah, 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so my family we went out to lunch and went bowling and then went back to the airport. So
nice. Okay,
yeah.
I remember that because I remember driving home and then coming back. It was like, what in the world?
Yeah. Yep. So MTC, we were in the same district. They put all of us who were going to Scotland in the district.
The same district, the Nephi district.
That I don't remember. We had a name.
Yeah, I think it was the Nephi district, if I remember right.
Okay.
I think I have it in my papers. I think I still have the list of names.
Yeah.
Or district. I think I kept that in that binder.
And you were assigned to Elder Green.
Elder Green. Me and Elder Green.
From our group, you'll have to go listen to these, but we've had Osmond on and we've had Malloy on.
Okay. Oh, I haven't seen Elder Malloy in ages.
Yeah. He's doing real good. Living the dream.
I like it.
In Vegas.
Living the dream. I think it's Elder Malloy that I still owe money to. I think it's Elder Malloy because I wasn't able to like exchange my money.
Yeah.
Or for whatever reason they had put it like in traveler's checks or something. And so when we were taken to Asda to get some stuff,
yeah,
I was trying to get stuff in the traveler's checks, and he offered to pay for it, and I was gonna pay him back, but I never saw him like pretty much the entire mission.
Yeah. All right, Elder Malloy, if you're listening,
I still owe you money, Elder Malloy. How much? I think it's like 20 pounds. It's probably like $45-50 now. And
with the exchange rate now, that's only 10 pounds. So.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than when we went.
Hey, I can afford that now.
All right. So any memories from the MTC?
Oh, I'm sure I have lots of them. Let's see. I remember losing my temple recommend initially when I was supposed to go to the temple. And Elder Green and I, we kneeled and prayed. And I had this impression just to look in my trench coat and it was there.
There you go.
So, lots of good memories from the MTC. I remember I hated fish for a long time, and that's all we had at the MTC, so I had to eat fish. And then now I love fish. What was that? I don't remember his name. I just remember he's a really good teacher. He was kind of he was the shortest one of the shorter ones. Remember him?
I don't remember any of the names.
Remember any names?
No.
I remember there was the missionaries that were singing in the shower.
Yeah.
And then they had to sing for a devotional or something.
I think we all sang with them because it was like, I think it was Elder Bass and Elder Osmond singing the national anthem in the shower. And it was like, it was coming out through the acoustical entryway of the MTC.
Yeah, and everybody could hear him.
Yeah.
So President Bourdain, he made him sing.
That's right.
I remember that. There are a few of them. Oh, I do remember one specific thing. I remember when Elder Osmond was introducing himself, and they were asking about if Donnie Osmond was his dad.
Yeah, they're like, "Are you related to Donnie or the Osmonds?" He's like, "Yeah, Donnie's my dad."
I'm like, "What?" Like that would just never, because I was just thinking like, no, he's not.
Never occurred we never even would have thought of that as Americans.
No, I was just thinking, oh, Elder Osmond. I remember thinking he looks like he could be related to the Osmonds, but like I wouldn't approach that subject at all. Like, hey, is Donnie your dad? But then I remember later on, like when we were getting assigned and stuff, they thought that they were going to send him up to the Shetland Islands first because of his name, and then I got sent there, and that was like, what? I was just like, all right,
Yeah.
So,
yep. Anything else? MTC?
Nothing really specific. MTC was just almost kind of a blur. Like it just, we were there for 2 weeks. It went by fast. I remember going teaching. Like we went walking out there. It was really cold. I remember being really cold that night, but they had us like walking from the MTC to wherever we were teaching to.
Yeah.
To whoever it was.
We were there in the middle of winter.
Yeah, we got there early. Yeah, that was pretty chilly.
Yeah. Especially coming from Arizona.
Oh yeah, especially coming from Arizona. And not having had that cold in a long time. I remember President Bourdain and him singing that High Hope song too. That Ant song.
I don't remember that either.
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah. They sing that
Somebody else has mentioned that though too.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That sticks out to me for some reason. I don't know why.
That's good. I'm glad somebody remembers something from the MTC.
Yeah.
All right, so we got up to Scotland. So I have in my mind that we went to Pratt's Hill at night. Like at night I feel like we were driving around with the APs and they were showing us all sorts of stuff. But I think actually we went back the next morning to do the dedication part. Do you remember that?
I do remember that because I remember what's his name? Elder. Oh, I don't remember his name. But he was driving like a maniac, or at least it seemed like he was driving like a maniac at the time because he was
clipping mirrors and stuff.
Yeah, whipping in and out of these little lanes and stuff, or these one lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember them taking us around and showing us a bunch of stuff. We went to the front door of the Edinburgh Castle.
That's right. Somebody knocked on it.
Yeah. Who knocked on it? Was that you?
It wasn't me.
It wasn't you?
But somebody knocked on it and they answered.
Did they answer it?
They opened the little like peek hole and it was a military guy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Welcome to Scotland.
Welcome to Scotland.
We talked to Elder Alger.
I remember Elder Alger.
He took you out first.
He took me out first. And that was, we went to that one of my earliest memories, because all before going to Scotland, people were like, oh, you're going to have a hard time understanding them, so you really got to pay attention. So I remember one of the people we went and visited that was an investigator they were visiting with. All I remember is like sitting at the front of the couch that we were on, like trying to make sure I could understand the words that were coming out of his mouth. And then all of a sudden, Elder Alger like passes it off to me, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. I don't even know if I said anything or what I said. But I just remember I was trying to understand him like the whole hour we were there.
Yeah, Elder Alger said he was also the one who cursed you to Shetland because you asked him like, "Hey, where's good air?" Like you asked him a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, anywhere but Shetland."
Anywhere but Shetland. Yeah, I remember talking about that. So I remember because I think Elder. Well, yeah, and then I remember when we got up there, Elder Green was saying, "Oh, I saw the list. You're going to the Shetland Islands." I was like, "No, I'm not. Be quiet. I'm not going to the Shetland Islands."
You thought he was just messing with you?
I thought he was just messing with me. and they call my name. I'm like, oh, geez. Hear all this stuff. I'm gonna be the first one up there.
So tell us about that.
About the Shetland Islands?
Yeah. You take the ferry up?
We did take the ferry up, so we went to Aberdeen. So when we got to Aberdeen, it was just snowing. It wasn't like there was no way that ferry was going out. And so we were actually in Aberdeen for 2 or 3 nights first before we actually were able to get to the Shetland Islands. And part of that was we actually went out and knocked on doors while we were there. And so we left Aberdeen probably, it was early afternoon, I think it was, but we didn't get to there. We didn't get to that Shetland Islands they dock in Lerwick. So we didn't get to Lerwick till probably about 2 a.m. And so when we got off, we just basically went straight to our flat and went to sleep. And I think we probably slept till about noon.
Yeah, just crashed.
Because we just crashed. We were so tired. I think that's set me up, because from that point on, I could not get up at 6 a.m. for my life, my entire mission.
You did when you were my companion.
That's right, I did. You helped me.
Yeah. I had
by
that,
the end of my
rooster
mission, I
alarm
think that's
clock.
pretty good.
Yeah,
that's true. You did. I remember that.
Oh, and your trainer, Elder Dunn. Yeah.
My trainer was Elder Dunn. He played guitar. He was always playing that guitar. And a guitar that he always played. I remember that.
We haven't had him on yet.
You should get him on. Have you reached out to him?
We have. I don't know if we've had any. I think
response
he
yet?
said to talk to him at the beginning of the year to check back in.
Oh, okay. Because I reached out to him just to talk to him, but he never responded back. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good sign or not.
Okay. Well, Elder Dunn, I think you got to come on. Clear your name if you want.
Come on, Elder Dunn. We love you, bro. Let's get on here.
Yeah. All right. What else about Shetland? First area, man. That's a heck of a place to start.
Oh, Shetland Islands was amazing. I happened to come in when they were teaching a guy by the name of Malcolm Gray. And so what kind of stinks for Elder Dunn is that if he hadn't been transferred out, he probably would have been the one to baptize Malcolm. But since Elder Dunn got transferred out, and the way that Malcolm talked, like he just always emphasized our names, like Elder Dunn. It was, I can't recreate it because it was just so very unique how I said Elder Dunn or Elder Parmenter, but I can hear it in my head. Every time I hear his name or say his name, I hear him saying those in my head. But it was cool to have to baptize him. And then it was just unique being on that little island because you're basically surrounded by water. Like the nearest next place is going to be Norway. And so it makes sense why they took our passports at the mission home, because it would have been very tempting
just over
to just hop on a ferry and go to Norway and come back.
Just get your stamp.
Just get stamp in Norway, because that's where my family, part of my ancestry is from Norway. We're Norwegian Vikings. So it's interesting that I got stationed on the Shetland Islands because I actually was from Scotland too, and that's all part of it. I just thought it was pretty cool how I got stationed in the Shetland Islands, and I was just so close to Norway that, man, probably if I had my passport, I probably would have gone.
Yeah, Shetland closer to Norway than Scotland, isn't it? It's pretty.
Yeah, I think it
Pretty dang
is
close.
because I think it's only like a 4 or 5 hour ferry ride. Because Scott to get to Aberdeen, it's like 14 hours.
Yeah.
So when we rode the ferry, because we rode it once back to Edinburgh, Livingston and I, and we got the car in there. They paid for that.
Yeah.
I think was that when we closed it out? So we closed down it for a little bit because we had knocked those doors so many times. It was just people were like, "Oh yeah, we talked to somebody like 6 weeks ago, and we're not interested." So because you could basically go from the top of the island to the bottom of the island all in one day. That was how small it was. So you met a lot of people, and so just and one person I particularly remember is a guy by the name of Kenny, and he was one of my first experiences up there with Elder Dunn. I think I was with Elder Dunn still, and I remember him just inviting us into his house, and it was just kind of sad because he just wasn't feeling all that loved. We had a really good conversation with him. But one thing I noticed also in Scotland in general, and I noticed this probably on the Shetland Islands first, is that they kind of have all the crazy people in one area. And so you don't really recognize that until you're talking to them. But I remember going to one person's house with Livingston. And when we first met the guy, when we knocked on his door, he said he was the owner of Kawasaki. And I'm like, okay,
Sure.
okay, sure, all right. But when we came back because he invited us to come back, and then we didn't really get a word in edgewise when we were actually there and inside his house, because he was teaching us basically. It was like almost a perfect, where it was like the fourth discussion before it changed over to the Preach My Gospel. And I'm like, this is basically the fourth discussion. I don't know why we're here. So, and then he started talking about all this other crazy stuff, and I'm like, yeah, we're not going to get anywhere with this guy. I don't see us making any kind of progress, and there's any kind of competence there. But he basically ran through the fourth discussion as if like it was almost if he had been in the MTC himself and he had memorized it. It was crazy.
Wow.
Like he was like an instrument of the Lord in a weird way.
Interesting.
But
So were you with Dunn only 6 weeks?
yep. So I was with Dunn my first 6 weeks, and then Livingston for my second 6 weeks. I was only with him for 6 weeks too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense because he was my companion after that.
Livingston was?
Yeah, I had my trainer, then I had Elder Carish, 6 weeks, and then I had Livingston.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That makes sense. Because where were you when Livingston was your companion?
Dumfries. So he went all the way from the very top all the way to the very bottom.
The very bottom.
Scotland.
Dang.
Yeah. But he served with us back to back. You first. So
Yeah.
But that's pretty unique too to get to have a baptism in your first area.
Yeah, that was really cool because we baptized him in a rec center pool, which I thought was really cool. And because with Elder Dunn, like for whatever reason, I was in this weird thing like, oh, I'm gonna get up early and run, and so Elder Dunn and I did that for a little bit, and it kind of tapered out because it's me, that's what I do. But because we would go to this, there's like this athletic field where we would run around the field a couple times, and then we'd come back and get ready and shower and stuff and read our scriptures, and that was really fun. Being on the Shetland Islands was a nice little intro to the mission. But it was really cool because that's also where I learned to drive. Stick shift was on my mission. I was around sheep and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was crazy because I had to learn how to maneuver that on these steep hills. That's like the last place you want to learn to drive a stick shift is on this like almost 90-degree angle hill, because if you got a car behind you, you either got to make it work or you're hitting that car.
Do or die.
Yeah. And Dunn was trying to teach me, and then we had a member, his name was Robert Robertson. And so he ended up teaching me. We went to this parking lot. We just drove around the parking lot a bunch of times, practicing going from first to second to third. And because Elder Dunn, I think he'd been almost out a year already, and so his license was expiring. And so like that is where I had to learn to drive, because then I think for my first year and my first year of areas was all driving.
Okay.
So
cool.
It was a good area.
Glen Roth's was a car area too before we got there. But you didn't get your license. You just drove on the first year of eligibility, right? Or did you get your license?
No, I was going to try to get my license. I think they were going to try to have me get my license, but then I ended up the second year not needing it. And that, because in that first year, my next area with, oh crap, what's his name?
Sprague?
No. Oh, was it Sprague my next area? That was my second area. No, Sprague was my next one. No. It was oh my gosh, what's his name? That's sad. Elder. He was tall and skinny.
Peterson.
No, I did have him though.
It wasn't me. Tall and skinny.
He was from Canada. Not Sprague. He was short and skinny.
Tall and skinny from Canada.
Oh my gosh, what's his name? That's gonna bug me, and I'm gonna feel bad.
You can look it up after and put it in the comments.
But in that area, particular area with him, we had our car run into, so we didn't have it for almost a good 6 weeks because it got ran into by the police.
What area was that you went to?
That was Galashills.
Okay.
What's his name? Oh my gosh. I should remember his name because he's the longest companion I had.
That was your second area, was Galshields?
I thought that was my second area. No.
So I was going to say, I don't remember us being in the same district.
Yeah.
Which we
Paisley was my second area, and then Galshields.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it went Paisley and Galshields. That's right. Because Sprague was my next companion after that. I went Dunn, Livingston, then Sprague. And then Vertigum. And then after Vertigum, he who I want to name, but it cannot name.
Maybe it'll come up later.
Hopefully it'll come up. First name is Mike. That's all I remember.
All right, Mike. You heard it. If you were Parmenter's companion, hit us
There
up.
we go. Elder Deaton. That was his name.
Deaton.
Yeah, Elder Deaton.
He's from Canada?
Yeah, he's from Canada.
Oh.
No, wait, no.
He's from England.
No, he is from England. That's right. I was thinking Canada, but he's from England. He lives in Canada now. That's why I was thinking he's from Canada.
All right, Deaton. You've been brought up a couple times too. You need to come on the podcast.
Yeah, come on, Deaton. Let's talk.
All right. So Sprague and Paisley, was that 6 weeks then? There?
I think I was Sprague for 3 months,
Okay.
but I was moved in an emergency move to Galashiels for that one elder that got beat up by those Neds.
Okay.
I'm talking about.
I don't remember his
There are
name.
probably more than one or two. There are probably more
Yeah.
than a couple of them.
That description fits more than one.
That's more than one, yeah.
But you went to serve with Elder Vertigum.
I did.
Okay.
So Elder Trainer. Yeah, Elder Trainer. That was his name. Elder Trainer is the one he got beat up in that area. I think he was serving with Vertigum. It's like over a camera or something that they beat him up for.
Yeah. Did you ever have a run-in with the Neds?
I was like, yeah, Shields. Is that it? Now I'm rethinking.
That's more likely to be Paisley.
That's Paisley. That's right. I think it was Sprague and Trainer. And I think I got moved from I got to look at my journal. Now I'm getting all these mixed up. I remember the stories, but now I'm not remembering locations. It's been too long.
That's all right. You can just tell the stories.
Because I remember I got a call from President Vriens saying that they were going to move me. Because they're going to move him. Oh, wait. Trainer got moved back to Paisley. And I got moved from Paisley to Galashiels. That's what it was. And so we traded spots.
You swapped.
And I went with Elder Vertigum, and Trainer came with Sprague.
Okay.
That's what it was. See? Yeah. I got this. I know my stuff.
Well, it's like we say with everybody, like, this is the truth according to you. There's nobody else to
I
say
got it all.
otherwise.
I got it all written down somewhere. It's in my journal. So I got the stories.
Good. Any people you remember from those areas or other experiences you had?
In Paisley and Galashiels?
Yeah.
Now in Paisley, I remember there was the Davis family. They were a good couple. They had two boys, two younger boys that really liked to play football, aka soccer for the Americans.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because they're all grown up now and are married. And I think one of them has a couple kids. It's a little crazy and weird. But I think he was bishop eventually at some point, Bishop Davis, which didn't surprise me at all when they called him to be bishop over there. But I had in the Shetland Islands, we had the brother Williamson, Robert Williamson. He had two younger daughters that were about maybe between ages of 5 and 8. But one of them, a while ago now, she came and visited Texas. So I saw her as an older kid. That was weird. So my wife and I, we kind of showed her around Fort Worth and Arlington, and she took a bus up to somewhere else in Texas and then came back, and then we dropped her off at the bus station, and then she went on her merry little way. But Paisley had a lot of really good people. I remember in Paisley, I think I just had a good time serving with Elder Sprague. Sprague was a hoot and a holler. I remember our flat we just had these two big queen size beds in the middle of this giant living room. It didn't even feel like an apartment. But he would he'd fall asleep to Coldplay. Coldplay and I think Avril Lavigne to whenever we went to bed. And then he was also big. He was really big into the filmmaking.
Yeah.
And so him and his friend, they were always working on this stuff. And I think he's made a few things since he's been home, which would, I don't know though. Have you guys talked to Elder
We
Spratt yet?
have, yeah.
Yeah.
I asked him why he's not a YouTube star, and
Yeah.
he said
But
he just didn't take to it as much after his mission as he did before.
yeah, just didn't. Yeah. I remember we had a companionship with Elder Bhutan in that area. So Elder Bhutan came and
As a
we did
traveling elder.
traveling elder. Or we go to always be in like Barheed or what else was in Paisley. Do you remember the library in Paisley? There's a really cool cathedral, I think, in Paisley, if I remember right.
I never served in the Paisley zone, even.
Ever served in the Paisley zone?
No.
Paisley was a pretty good zone. Like we had remember there were also some condemned buildings that we would pass by every day. And there was a fish and chip shop that we'd pass by that we'd always get. I think that was most areas though. But in Gallus Shills are, remember Gallus Shills, probably one of the best areas that I served in, I think, besides Glen Rothis, of course.
Gallus Shields is beautiful.
Yeah, Gallus Shills was gorgeous. Like I had driving up there, I had to drive the same situation. Other done year, I had to drive. Vertigum, he'd already been out a year. I had to drive, but while I was driving, like I was having a hard time paying attention to the road because I was just looking around and
Yeah.
everything was just gorgeous. And so that whole area, like there were like just walking around in that area, like it was just amazing. And so we didn't stay in Gallus Hills, but the church, the branch was in Gallus Hills, but we stayed in about a 15-minute area, 15 minutes away called Selkirk. And so we lived in this flat that was on kind of a hill. Well, there was this major hill that would go down, and when everybody was parked at night, like it was just a one lane road. So you had to pull over and wait. And so part of that area too, there was I think it was an older gentleman that lived down below us. And so we would always say hi to him. But we'd come up or come around. So we'd park on the side, come up the one side, we'd park, and we'd basically have to go around the back. That'd be our entrance in. And it actually had a downstairs and an upstairs. And so Elder Virgum and I, our free time, we would set up the hymn books, and we'd play some ping pong on our small little table. And then when I was with Elder Livingston, though, there's one time I specifically remember because not Livingston, was it Livingston? Oh wait, I think I was in that area for a good while. So I think I had Vertigum, not Livingston.
Probably Livingston and Osmond would have
Deaton.
been down in Dumfries.
Yeah. No,
while
I'm
you were
thinking
there.
of Deaton. It was Deaton I had with Gallus Hills. So Elder Deaton and I, we were together probably about 4.5 months. I think it was. And so by the end of it, I think he was getting tired of me. And I think he was getting on my nerves a little bit. But
As
we
happened.
had right. So there was one time there was this lady that I thought was a really good lead as far as, or would have been a really good investigator. It was like it was her and her kids and a husband. I think it would have been like an entire family. And you know how when we had the cars we had the whole mileage to worry about. And him and I were arguing. It was like Saturday night, and we were arguing back and forth. And I was telling him, I don't care about the miles. We got to go see this lady. Like, I don't care about the miles. Like, I don't. And I think it got pretty heated. And so we went to bed that night, and then we wake up in the morning. There was a little yellow card that I still have, that they put through our post and the door flap. And so in it was from the police. It said, "Hey, call us. We hit your car." So when we go out there, the back of our Vauxhall Corsa is basically smashed in. Like, it was barely drivable.
And the police are the ones who hit you?
Yeah. So what we found out had happened was it was nighttime. We were asleep. There was an alarm that went off at the convenience store that was just right around the corner. But I guess it was a false alarm. And so the police were coming around the corner, and they had to slam on their brakes because there's another car. Like I said, at night, there's no room. You either have to stop or you're just going to run into each other. So there's one car that didn't stop. And so they were coming from the opposite direction. So the police had to slam on their brakes. They slammed into our car, in the back of our car, pushed our car into the front end of another car. So they busted that car up too. So that basically took our car out of commission. And then the rest of the time I think I was in that area, we didn't have a car. They had to total it out.
Then you couldn't go see that family.
Yeah, that answers that question. We just couldn't go see her. Because it was way out in the boonies. Like, it was just way out there.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I guess that answers that question.
Dang.
So to me, that was the Lord saying, well, if you're going to argue about it, I'm just going to take out
You're going to take your car away.
I'm going to take your car away. So it doesn't matter anymore. So, and I was right at wintertime too. Like, we waited at a bus stop for like almost 2.5 hours in the freezing cold because we were waiting to get home.
Oh, man.
That was just, yeah. Because in that area, you didn't have many buses. Like, it's one of the reasons why it was a car area. And that's why President Vriens fought so hard to keep it a car area. But I think after they totaled that car, I think for the rest of the time I was there anyway, we didn't have a car. Like, we had to walk and take the bus. We just didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
So
you were there in the winter. Did you spend your first Christmas there?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Because that was with Elder Deaton. And so I remember getting those sweetie boxes from people. Those are some good times.
People load you up at Christmas time.
Yeah, they loaded you up. So we had a whole Elder Deaton, though, he had given up chocolate though. For whatever reason. It was like his goal to give it up for like 6 months or something like that. Wow. So I think it was mostly me eating that candy, those sweets, those candy and chocolate.
I didn't start eating chocolate till my mission.
You didn't?
I didn't really care for it in the United States, and then the mission changed me. I love chocolate now.
Well, the chocolate in there is better than it is.
Oh yeah, yeah. Easier to get started there.
Yeah. Because you remember that Cadbury bar on the mantle?
1 kilogram bar. We each had one. You ate yours.
No, it was that massive one.
I know.
Had been left in the.
Was it left when you got there?
Yeah.
I had one in my stash.
You had one?
Yeah.
Oh no,
that would have been Noble's left over.
There was a big one that had been left on that mantle, and I ate that sucker.
You demolished it, man.
I demolished it. I remember that was a big bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I take the entire time we were there to eat that, or did I eat that?
It's like a
No,
week, man.
yeah, I didn't think so. I'm pretty sure I ate that pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So Shields down Dumfries and Galloway. Where'd you go from there?
So from Galashiels, I believe I went to, where did I go from Galashiels? Crap. I know it wasn't Glen Rothes. Glen Rothes was the last year. I had a few more before that.
You came to me from
Oh.
Sterling.
I came to you from Sterling?
Yeah.
I must have gone to Ayr next after that. I think going from Galashiels to Ayr to Sterling, and then from Sterling to Glen Rothes. I feel like there's more than that, though.
There should be like one more area, maybe.
Shetland, Paisley, Galashiels, Ayr, Sterling. Oh, there's got to be some. I'm missing something. I had 7 or 8 areas. I think I did.
You probably did.
I'm pretty sure I did, because I was in each one for at least Galashiels. No, I didn't serve in Edinburgh.
I only had 5 areas, so
well,
might only have 6 or 7.
I may have had, because I know I served in Galashiels for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Like a quarter of my mission was in Galashiels, I think.
Okay. And then we were in Glen Rothes together for 5 months, so
yeah,
almost another quarter there.
So that's probably it then. I'm gonna have to double check though, because I mapped it out. I wrote it down. I think I'm missing one though. I'm probably missing. I think there's one more.
That's all right. I got a couple things that aren't area related to ask you about that we ask everyone. So one is the transition to preach my gospel. How do you remember that happening, and how'd you feel about it?
I do remember that. I remember because it came out 6 months. We were 6 months out when that came out. And I just remember thinking this is a whole lot easier to teach, just because that major focus was focusing on the spirit and not just memorization and rote.
Yeah.
And although for the time being, most people have been out on their missions, I'm sure we're going off the spirit for memorizing and saying what they needed to say. I'm sure it wasn't always memorization. I'm sure it was, they did what they felt they needed to do within the spirit guiding them. But I just remember thinking that this is a whole lot better based on the time frame and the missionaries that were coming out. And I just remember also, before I even got to my mission, how they had already raised the bar for the missionaries coming out. So I could tell just based on that first year, between when we got there to based on when we left, the caliber of missionaries that were out there on that mission. Like Elder Bachholt, for example, when I was out there in Sterling, I remember being out there with, he was out there tracting with us. I remember he had handed out like 6 Book of Mormons within like an hour. It was crazy. And like for me, I'm still trying to hand out my first Book of Mormon. Like, this is just ridiculous. But because then I could tell, like, because some of those missionaries that were there when we first got there, you could tell they were ready to go, and they weren't exactly wanting to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
And so just some of them that came out even after us, like, I'm like, these guys are top notch. Like they're spiritually ready, spiritually prepared. And I think Preach My Gospel had helped them along the way as far as being a better missionary.
Yeah. It enabled that to go even further, right? It took good missionaries to be great missionaries.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. Because I feel the Preach My Gospel really broke it down even simpler than it already was. Like it was very basic gospel principles.
Yeah.
From we have a heavenly Father who loves us, and he wants the best for us, to teach him the plan of salvation and telling us how to get there and what we need to do. And so even now, I think with the Preach My Gospel, I think it's really, even what they're doing now compared to what we were doing, back between 2004 and 2006. Like it's crazy how far different things have come into play and into place to help enable the gospel to be spread further. Because it's not just in-person missionaries now, it's virtual missionaries.
Yeah.
Missionaries being on, using the technology to talk to somebody from halfway across the world to share your testimony with.
Yeah,
Like
that's true. I hadn't considered, like, without Preach My Gospel, that format would almost be impossible. Like, I can't imagine
right?
somebody across the computer giving a rote presentation. Like,
Yeah, like
that just wouldn't work.
just wouldn't work. Like, and I think it's like, I love how far things have come, because it's also been able, like, even with the social media and stuff, like we've been able to stay in touch with, like people like Grace, and like I'm in touch with her daughter Suzanne,
Yeah.
who, she still reaches out to me, and I'm still in touch with her son too. Can you believe Tierney is like 18? Do you remember when she was a baby?
Yeah. She was brand newborn when we met them.
Yeah, Matthew, he posted a picture of her, like, and their other kid, and like she's super tall, and
Oh, man.
I'm like, what happened here?
No
Like,
way.
it's just crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Oh, man.
Like, and Suzanne has, like, I think she has 2 kids
Wow.
that are almost grown. I think she named her kid Cobain after Kurt Cobain, which I think is pretty cool. which which makes perfect sense for her,
Mm-hmm.
But back to the spiritual side of it, what was really cool is that she was able to reach out to me because she went through a horrific traumatic experience with her late husband. I don't say it on the podcast because it's personal stuff,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you afterwards. Um, but her being able to reach out to me and talk to me about that and let me know kind of what's going on, I was very grateful for this technology and the ability that even for you and me, we were able to be in Glen Rothis and meet them and be there for them, and then still be there years later.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's
So
really cool.
I'm jealous that you got to go back though. Bum.
You'll have to get there on your flight credit somehow now.
I know I'm gonna have
Southwest
to
doesn't fly to
non-rev.
Scotland, do they?
No, but we do have agreements to
There
where we
you go.
can non-rev and just pay the tax,
There you go.
and we get major discounts, I think. So
You'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
All right. So back to the mission. Sterling. Who else did you have as companions before me? I think
So
you came directly to me from, I think, Aurelio.
yeah, Aurelio, yeah,
Yeah.
Aurelio, Elder Jump.
Okay.
It was Elder Jump, Elder Aurelio, then you. Then there's Elder Peterson and Air. So an Elder Peterson to Elder Jump to Elder Aurelio. I think Elder Aurelio to you.
Okay.
So Elder Dunn, Elder Livingston, Elder Deaton, Elder Spragg, Live right again. Yeah, I think I got them all. I got about nine companions, 8 or 9.
Any memories from Sterling?
Sterling. Oh, hang on. Now I'm remembering things.
This is how it works. It starts coming back.
Okay. I think it was from. Did I come from Sterling to Glen Rothas?
Yeah. On an e-transfer.
On an e-transfer?
Yeah.
Another e-transfer? Did I have 2 e-transfers?
Yeah. Well, you at least had one to me. You came like right smack in the middle of a transfer to me. Switched out. You and Elder Noble swapped.
Oh, Elder Stout. That's my other area.
Stout. Were you with Stout when he got beat up?
Irvine, Kirkcaldy. And I was with Elder Stout when he got beat up. That was messed up. Because that was the same night as a transfer calls.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got our call. It was almost 2:30 in the morning, I think. I don't think I got a call at 2:30 in the morning. I just remember President Vriens calling. And I had to tell him that we were currently in the hospital, that Elder Stout was in the hospital because he had gotten because we were on our way back from
Go ahead and tell the story. You got a transfer call, right?
We were okay. So that day we had gone over to an investigator's house. And this is an investigator that we were teaching his wife. I don't know if we're necessarily teaching him because I think he was inactive, but we were teaching his wife. But he was smoking joints while we would teach his wife. So how much of the spirit they felt, I really don't know. But Elder Stout and I, they like to talk, and they had a really good relationship with Elder Stout. And I don't fault him for that at all. I think in that area, he had some really good relationships with these people. But I think he got a really bad draw of the cards with a companion. And so when he got me, I was kind of, Elder Zinkowski, he was another companion.
Oh, you served with Elder Z?
Yeah, I did. See, now I'm trying to remember what I served with him.
Wow.
With. Was that the e-transfer?
No,
I
don't think so. I know you were. I know
who was I with when I got the e-transfer.
I know you were e-transferred with Aurelio to me, but that was from Sterling. And if you got an e-transfer before that, I don't know.
Well, I know I got an e-transfer. Anyway, so by the time we got done talking, it was always late at night when we saw these people. But on this particular night, we talked late enough that we were past the curfew. Or we were already past the curfew. We were going to pass the curfew. Not only that, we missed the bus entirely. The last bus missed the last bus. So we were late. Is that the same night? I think that was the same night. But either way, we were walking through this mall area that we passed through to get to our flat, and we stopped and talked to these Neds that were there, and they were really nice. But then all of a sudden I see Elder Stout, like he's picking up, like he's a big dude, stout by name, stout by nature, that's what we'd always say with him. But all of a sudden he has one of them like by his jacket, and he's holding him up against this pillar. I couldn't tell if he was joking or not. And obviously one of the guy's friends couldn't either. And so before I know it, I guess apparently this guy had some coins in his hand. And so he just came up and he clocked Elder Stout right in the jaw. And Elder Stout went down like a ton of bricks.
Broke his jaw, right?
Broke his jaw. And so the ambulance came and we rode the ambulance to the hospital. And I had to stay the night with, it was with when Elder Osmond and, what's his name? I think they were the district leaders. And so I had to spend the night with them because they had to come and get me. It was like 2:30 in the morning. And so
Man.
I drove with them to the hospital, and then Elder Stout stayed in the hospital, but he's got a metal plate in his face.
Yeah.
That was not a good night. So then President Vriens calls, and I just got to tell him, hey, we're in the hospital. Elder Stout got hit. So that was fun. That was crazy.
That's crazy. I didn't know you were his companion when that happened, but I knew that had happened because President Vriens called him out at the next zone conference.
Yeah.
And said we don't talk to Neds. We don't. Right, Elder Stout? Yeah. He couldn't even answer because he was busted up.
He was completely busted up. It was crazy. He just came from behind him. Like all of a sudden out of nowhere, the guy just came up from behind. Because I was talking to somebody. We were having a good conversation. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy being picked up, and I'm like, what is going on? And apparently they didn't think he was joking. I thought maybe he was joking, but apparently he must not have been. They must have said something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. I can't remember. Oh, and that's what I got. It was the same area. Elder Zinkowski was in that area. It was Irvine, I think, too.
Okay.
Was it Irvine? Yeah. Was it? I don't remember.
I'll bet it was.
I think it was Irvine.
I think Osmond served there too.
I know Osmond served there.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Kirkcaldy's Glen Rothas. That's right.
Yeah.
Never mind. I was thinking Irvine and Kirkcaldy were the same thing, but they're not.
They're definitely not.
They're definitely not the same thing. It's not the same area because I remember being in the ward with Bass and who was it? Bass and
Christopherson. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Zinkowski and I had a strange relationship. That was interesting.
Have you followed him on social media lately?
I have been following him. He's been doing some amazing things.
Yeah. Incredible.
Like for him and I, like that was just a total culture difference. Like, because he was really nice to me after. And I don't know if he was just, calling me stupid because he didn't know another word, or if he really thought I was stupid. Because I was so mad at him. But like, I'm friends on Facebook with him. I've been following him, watching him do this amazing stuff he's been doing to help his people. And like, gosh dang, he's such a good dude. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Like when I saw him at his own conference, and we we're still serving, he said hey and said hi, like nothing was going on. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So in Sterling, you were with Aurelio. Did you have
Aurelio and Jump and Sterling?
Jump before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sterling was good. Yeah, Sterling. I think I went to Sterling on an e-transfer. Or no, I don't know. But oh no, there's another e-transfer. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I can't remember. But I remember going to Sterling, and we like all my life, or inquire, like we sang about Loch Lomond all the time, you know?
Yeah.
We sang this Loch Lomond song, Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond. But I felt bad for the missionary that got transferred out because we got to go. They had just arranged with the President Vriens and the bishop to be able to go and camp with the priesthood in Loch Lomond.
So you got to do that.
I got to go camping in Loch Lomond.
That's awesome.
I got pictures of Loch Lomond, the very place I sang about in choir.
Yeah, I wasn't even able to visit there until I went back with Lindsay.
Oh,
we went,
man.
but it's like I don't know, it's like a state park kind of there, right? Like it's a recreation area and you can go camping and water activities and
yeah, people camp there. Like it was just
that's cool, man.
It was crazy. And what's crazy is that the Ellis Quorum president or what, I don't remember his name, but they called him to be like a general authority later, which honestly didn't care. Elder Care. You remember Elder Care?
Yeah.
The 70?
Yeah.
I think 70. Yeah, he was part of that. He's part of that camping trip. Like one of the most spiritual giants I know.
Yeah.
And then like he ran for politics, some position in his hometown. And he got it too, which
Wow.
you know is rare in the Mormon culture.
Yeah.
So, but that was pretty cool. And then also in that same area, when I was serving with Elder Jump, we were going to go up and see the William Wallace statue, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I dislocated my shoulder again. We were playing basketball on our P day. And so I ended up having to go to the hospital and have them put my shoulder back with another missionary.
So you didn't get to go to the Wallace Monument?
I didn't get to go to the Wallace Monument. But later on with Elder Aurelio, we went up and went through the Stirling Castle and everything. That's
I played basketball there on the exchange on P Day. I think we met up there when I was serving in Falkirk. And that was a cool basketball court too. It was like underneath those.
Yeah, it was like right there.
Yeah. Like right next to the castle and the monument and all that, and play basketball there.
Yeah, because we're gonna play basketball and we're gonna go up, and then I went up for a rebound. Shoulder came out. It was ridiculous. So they called a member to come get us, and they took us to the hospital. And I remember just being they gave me some anesthesia. I remember being almost out, and then he popped it back in, and then he brought me back. Like wow. even before I was fully out.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest experience. like I could feel myself almost going to sleep, and I'm just awake again.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you telling me the story about before your mission, you dislocated your shoulder, right? And your mom popped it back in for you.
Yeah, that was a fun time too. Yeah. I actually did it a third time. I popped it out right before I went to a wedding with my wife. And while we were sleeping, because I had flown out as well. I was working for that one company I was telling you about earlier. And I slipped and fell kind of in the shower because I was trying to be a good guy and not get water on the floor. So I slipped and fell, and I fell on it, and it popped it out just a little bit, but not enough. So it kind of worked its way back. It worked its way back in. So I put myself in a sling and I went to work. But then I flew out either, I think I flew out the next day because we were attending a wedding in Rochester, New York for my wife's best friend. But during the night, somehow it popped out, and I was screaming in my sleep.
Oh my gosh.
And my wife still hears it sometimes. And so in the middle of the night, called an ambulance and they took me to the hospital. And all night, basically, they put me under to again to pop it back in. And I guess I almost didn't make it. Like the doctor had to kind of shake me awake.
Oh my goodness.
And my wife's like, "Let me in there. I'll slap him awake." So
now's my chance.
So in order for me to get released and go to the wedding, because that wedding was going to be at like 10 or 11 or something. So I had to get my heart rate to a certain point. So I had to breathe slow.
Holy cow.
So after getting out, I had to rush to the church. I had to kind of do a quick shave and put on my clothes, and we went to the temple. So I was in a sling for that wedding.
But you made it.
But I made it. See, I made it.
Good. All right. You ready to talk about Glen Rothis?
Absolutely.
So you did come to me on an e-transfer because, I mean, I definitely remember
what, though?
from Sterling, because there was a girl there who decided she fancied you, which turned out to be a pretty common thing for you. Those Scottish women, they dug you, man.
Was it in Sterling?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember now. Never mind. It's all coming back to me.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So I remember that.
My companion was Elder Noble, and you guys swapped.
That's right. I remember that.
So Glen Rothis was a car area until I came. When I came, Elder Noble hadn't been out a year yet, but he didn't have a license. He's from the United States, but he didn't have a driver's license, and they thought that he did. So, when they called for transfers, he's asking the assistants, "Does Elder Bryce have a driver's license?" And they're like, "No, he's latter half of his mission." And he's like, "Well, I don't have one either." I'm like, "Oh well." Took the car.
Guess you can't have the car.
Yeah, so that's why we had a huge area, no car, and a lot of time on public transport there. Right?
Yeah, because we used the bus quite a bit in that area.
Fortunately, we lived across the street from the bus station. But
yeah, I remember that. So I remember you getting on a bus and me not getting on the bus.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I definitely remember that. Yeah, that was one of the stories I was going to bring up. So
what happened that time?
So we were
you're going out.
We were headed to Dunfermline, I believe.
Okay.
So that's where the district leaders lived, and there was another set of missionaries there, and we were going to go Christmas caroling on the high street. And we would go down there every Monday for district meeting. We catch the express.
I remember that because I'd always get those double egg.
Yeah, we always went to McDonald's beforehand.
Yeah.
And but this time was middle of the day. We were catching the express down, and we were sitting there waiting for the bus. It pulled up kind of late, and I got on. I thought you were right behind me. People filing on the bus. I'm headed towards the seat, and I sit down and I look behind me, and no other Parmenter. And he shuts the door. The guy shuts the door. We're on an express, so it's not stopping between
not stopping at all. Yeah.
and Dunfermline. And I look out there, and there you are, leaning on the bus shelter. Didn't notice that the express had come up. I guess I didn't whack you or anything to tell you. So I borrowed some lady's phone on the bus and called you and said, "Hey, I'm on the bus."
Because then I think I had to call I had to call somebody and let them know.
You must have called zone leaders or something, and you just went back to our flat.
Yeah, I just stayed in the flat until you got back that day.
I went caroling because I'm like, I'm down here already.
Got a
month left on the mission. I want to go caroling, so
that's fun. I was just like, guess I'm going back to the flat. I don't nothing else I can do.
I can still picture it in my mind, man, looking back through the bus, and you're sitting there on the curb, and I'm like, how did this happen?
What happened?
Yeah,
Because I think I looked at you and I'm like,
you just didn't notice.
I didn't notice.
And I didn't notice that you weren't right next to me. So weird.
That's so
It's
weird.
definitely weird for missionaries to be without their companion.
That was really weird. I felt that was, I felt detached. Like it was like
Just awkward. Yeah.
you think, oh, like, it's good to have some alone time, But as a missionary, you're trained not to be without your companion,
Right. Especially not for any length of time.
especially not for any length of time. Yeah.
But we were
Oh, man.
both like a month or two from going
Yeah, we
home.
didn't have much longer. Yeah, it was.
That was funny.
Oh my gosh.
But we did. We rode the bus a lot. We rode it a whole lot. And anytime a member would give us a ride, we were like, "This is the best." For any of our dinner appointments or anything.
Oh,
But
that was beautiful.
I couldn't believe that we served together as long as we did to the very end, because we were going home. Like, we thought for sure last transfer would be split up, but we weren't.
They kept us together the entire time.
Yeah. But yeah, who was it? I texted you the other day about Tom, right?
You did.
So somebody brought up, playing cards with Tom. That was such a good time.
Oh man, playing cribbage with him was amazing. Like, and he had those little candies.
Yeah.
And I would like chow down on those every time. I think you guys barely got any because I would probably about have 90% of them.
Maybe. Yeah. So many good people in that ward, in that area.
I remember him always bearing his testimony and taking forever. Because he was 85 then.
Yeah.
And so it was
old man testimony.
Old man testimony. He did it every month without fail.
Yep.
Because we also did, and then we also had lunch with, who was it? What's his name?
There was a lot of people we got fed so good there.
Yeah, we did.
Like, you and I were ridiculous. Okay. Because we'd eat breakfast, like normal breakfast before we go out. But I'm pretty sure every day we had a lunch and a dinner almost every day.
Easy.
DA, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then we would come home 9:30, 10 at night and have another meal just on our own accord.
Because sometimes we go to that, there's that fish and chip shop.
Yeah.
And we get some fish and chips and a battered Mars bars.
We had deep fried pizza, deep fried cheeseburgers.
Oh, man.
We'd cook those Tesco pizzas with chips.
That was so good.
Man, I don't know how much of the 3 stone I put on of my mission was in that area. Probably at least 2 stone of it, though.
I mean, we balanced it out. We did walk a lot, so
we did. We did walk a ton.
Because I was pretty heavy when I was on my mission. Remember that? Remember when I first was there?
That's true. So yeah, I think you actually had lost weight by the time we were companions.
I think I had, because I would easily say I was between 260 and probably 300 pounds, but I didn't really feel it or think about it, because at that unarmed security guard job, I was Wednesday to Sunday, I was eating junk food
and sitting in a booth
long and sitting in a booth doing nothing. And so when I got to my mission, like, Elder Bass always gave me a hard time.
I remember him like poking you, right?
Yeah, poke fun of me. But yeah, I lost a lot of weight by the time I got off my mission, I think. But then I probably gained it back when I got home, because I still wasn't doing anything.
I was the opposite. I came out like couldn't break 200 pounds to save my life, and I'm 6'6", so just super skinny.
Yeah.
And then I went home weighing 245, something like that.
Yeah, that's all it takes. It's those deep fried battered Mars bars.
I gained all of that in the last year, Elder Streeter got me started because he had a bread machine, so I'd have homemade bread, like a loaf every day, and then from then on, it's just
We had a homemade bread maker in my first area. I think Elder Dunn made some bread a few times. Oh, that was so good.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's hard to beat homemade bread.
it is hard to be homemade bread.
But and then we taught who was it? Lynn Whitelaw. Remember her?
Was Lynn Whitelaw? Was she the one that she felt her family was in danger?
Yeah,
Was that,
I think so.
her? Yeah.
Maybe. No, that wasn't her. She was one. We taught her quite a bit, and we were able to have like joint teaches with her and stuff, but we weren't able to progress because her husband was not a fan of us.
Okay.
But she worked at a bakery at the mall right there, so we'd stop in there too and get pastries and pies. Oh my gosh, we must have eaten a mission's worth of food just in that area.
I'm telling you, I mean, depending on your area, missionaries, they're put on a pedestal. And so they will feed you and feed you and feed you, and they'll keep you to make sure you got that energy.
Yeah, and we were there for Christmas, which I think we took a picture with our candy laid out, right? And it was like,
I think we did, yeah.
Like a 4 foot by 4 foot area just covered.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Candy.
Remember the picture that we took in our those? It was like the German, like, war shirts.
Nope.
Do you remember those?
I don't remember that.
Oh,
German war shirts? Oh yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
That we found at the thrift shop or whatever.
Because you had the tradition on your mission with your companions, like getting similar shirts or whatever.
Some sort of
unified. Yeah, and that's what we found.
That's right.
Found them in a thrift shop.
Little patch on the sleeve of the German flag.
Yeah.
I do recall.
I showed my wife that picture. She makes fun of me for it.
But yeah, we had good success in that area too.
We did have really good success in that area.
Not just with Grace, but I felt like we were teaching a lot there.
We taught a lot of lessons there, like especially doorstep lessons. I felt like we taught a lot.
Yeah. That was one benefit of us both being towards the end of our mission. I was trying to explain this because we've interviewed some missionaries who came out after when they really had a good focus on member missionary work, and they actually banned chapping, which I can't even imagine.
They did?
Yeah. Yeah.
For real?
So maybe a year after we'd left, for a little while they said no chapping. So they just did member missionary work, which is great. But they asked me, like, how did you survive chapping 60 hours a week? And I was like, by the end, we're good at it. Like,
we just did it.
And you and I would teach. We, like, anybody who answered, we probably had like a 50% chance we were going to get them a lesson.
Yeah. Because most of the time people would at least listen for that first part. Yeah.
And we had our approaches down. We actually knew like what each other was going to talk about, if they had certain concerns.
Yeah. Because there was one couple, they're like a common law married couple. Is that with you?
I don't remember.
Remember them? It's like they're older. Maybe they were older. At least they were older when we were there.
Yeah. Compared to us young guys.
Because we taught them for a little bit, I think. We came back a couple times.
Could be. But you probably don't know this, but there was one time we were on a doorstep and this lady answered, and she had just moved back to Scotland from the United States when her husband had passed away. And she kind of expressed that to us, like being really down about it.
I do remember that. And because I remember bearing my testimony to her.
Yeah.
And talking to her about my sister.
Yeah, so anytime we're in a situation like that, you would talk about your sister who had passed
Yeah.
away and share your testimony of eternal families. But on that particular doorstep, you didn't do it first. Like I was waiting for that
Oh,
story.
really?
Yeah. So I shared my testimony before you about eternal families. And but the Spirit bore witness to me in that moment, that eternal families are real. So that's like a pillar of my testimony. And especially if
Wow.
that families can be together forever is not, I think it was I listened to your story several times in your testimony, but then sharing that and having the Spirit bear witness to me of the truthfulness of that, it made a difference in my life. So
Wow. Well,
things like
thank
that,
you.
you don't know.
You never know.
But that, I think that was really, I think we had a lot of experiences like that where we were able to talk to people about life and relate it to the gospel.
Experiences relate all that. Yeah, I just remember having tons of good conversations with people.
Yep.
Like I remember that first conversation though with with Suzanne though. She didn't seem like, I'm like, oh boy.
She wasn't digging it, that's for sure.
She wasn't digging it.
Because the first night, I don't remember if Suzanne was there the very first time we checked into Grace.
She wasn't. Like
Matthew was
Grace,
there,
Matthew was there.
and his girlfriend and
Yep.
their
And
daughter,
she was
their brand new baby.
a brand new baby. I remember we knocked on her door and she agreed to see us another day. But I remember her telling us later that I only agreed to that appointment because I didn't think you guys were going to come back. And I was like, well, it's a darn good thing we showed back up, isn't it?
Yeah, because we talked to her neighbor before her and had a return appointment with him already.
Yeah.
So then when we went back, he wasn't interested anymore. His wife said no, I think.
Yeah. I think his wife nixed that.
But then we taught Grace. So yeah, so if I write my book, it's going to be about those lessons I learned that came up to teaching Grace. And actually, Suzanne plays a part in that because she had her concerns. And if I had taught Grace, first area on my mission, it probably just would have been a Bible bashing thing with Suzanne's concerns, and then the Spirit would have been gone and it would have been
Man,
over.
I'm so sad I missed that though. Because we had to do
Oh,
exchanges
yeah,
that day. Remember that?
I do remember.
And I'm like, because I was nervous. I'm like, oh
It
my
was
God.
it was a make or break moment,
I'm
right?
like, yeah. It's probably a good thing that I wasn't there though. Like looking back, like, because it probably would, like for me too, like because I think I was also at that point on my mission too, where like if someone wasn't, they would call it something different or whatnot, like I would get heated.
You could be emotional.
I could be emotional.
Yeah.
Like there was a time, I think I was out with Elder Zinkowski and I was like, we were talking about someone had called us Mormons. Any other day of the week, like, yeah, okay. But for whatever reason that day, I got heated. I was like, no, we are Latter-day Saints.
They probably
Something
called
like
you
that.
Normans with an
Yeah.
N.
Yeah. I'm like, whatever. You should definitely write that book though. I think that'd be an amazing book. And I think that'd be something that people need to hear to relate from the other side of things.
Yeah.
So I think that's what a lot of people are lacking these days, is what I'm noticing, is that there's so much fluff and other things going on that's preventing them from actually being able to hear the truth or, live the truth, because there's they just have gotten to a certain point where they're willing to hear all this other stuff, or they've heard all this other stuff, and all they hear is talk about. I mean, they always talk about, it's always the old men
You can
trying
get
to,
you can get caught in an echo chamber of
yeah,
extreme views.
extreme views. And I think people just need to have it, broken down and simplified. And I think that's a big thing. The whole big thing to preach my gospel. And I think one of the biggest impacts on my mission too, or one of the things besides serving with you, was that there was a quote that I came across. I think it was the first area of my mission that just said, going to church no more makes you a Christian than sleeping in your garage makes you a car. And so whenever I meet people, like, that's what I kind of talk about, because it's like, yeah, great. I don't go to church because I'm a Christian. I go to church because I'm trying to be better, and I'm trying to learn and become better. But at the end of the day, if once I step out those doors, I am still a normal human being. But if I don't do anything, I'm not a Christian unless I actually serve. If I actually do those things that Christ did as he served, he was an actual disciple of himself, I guess you could say. But so when people are worried about, going to church because they feel like they have to be perfect, that's kind of what I tell them. I was like, you don't need to go to church. You can, calling yourself a Christian, going to church doesn't make you a Christian. Like, people will call themselves Christians because they go to church, but that's not why they're Christian. Unless you're actually out to serve people and help people and do better and be better and become better, it makes no difference whether you go to church or not. The point of church isn't because we're Christian, it's what we do after church that makes us Christians.
Yep. So you don't even, if I make the book, you don't need to buy it because you've lived it. So
No.
it's
I am still working on many things.
no, but that definitely, the mission taught us, right, that you can be a bad person and go to church. You can be a good person and not go to church. That has nothing to do with
Nothing to
anything.
do. Exactly.
Yep. So, and that was one of the, like, it was wonderful to teach Grace and to have her, like, I think she's one of those investigators, right, who said, hey, we told her, first lesson, like, here's the Book of Mormon. You can read 3rd Nephi chapter 11. That's when Christ visits the Americas.
Right.
And then she asked us, well, can I start from the beginning too? Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, go ahead. Are you for real? Yeah.
I don't mean to sound too excited, but yeah.
Yeah. So
golden.
I think it's awesome that you've been able to stay in touch with her and her family. That's really good. And I got to see her when I went back.
I love that. That's what I want to be able to do, is get back there and see people, because there are people that obviously have passed on that,
Yep.
I've been able to see, Tom Fife, that other real cool guy that we had lunch with. He seemed real posh. Know what I'm talking about? Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, he just he's that same, wore his pants like high up to his belly button. It's the same outfit every day. We helped wash his dishes.
Was it just him?
What I'm talking about.
Was it just
we
him
also there was that other lady that she was older, but she also had that dog. And so we had to be careful about what we were eating. We had to wipe it before we.
Yeah. So we found out from one of these podcasts that she passed away as well.
Sad.
But she was older too. So
yeah.
But she fed us every week, even though it was a little bit dodgy.
A little bit dodgy. Well, that's all right. Yeah. That was a really good area. I really liked that area.
Any other memories from Glen Rothis or our time together? About me, I remember one time I learned a valuable lesson here too. We were just walking down the street and we stopped this lady, and some discussion, I don't even remember what it was about. You said something that I thought was wrong though, and I called you out on it in front of her. And afterwards you're like, why did you do that? And I was like, man, that was a jerk move. Like,
you called me out. What was it on? Do you remember?
I don't even remember.
What was I wrong on?
I don't know. I'm sure it was some false doctrine or something you were trying to teach this lady. And
was I? Probably. That's funny.
I may have said like, you're stupid. Like, that's wrong. And
see, I don't remember. I don't remember you calling me out on anything.
Good. I learned the lesson, that you shouldn't be like that. Shouldn't be a jerk.
Oh, do you remember that time we came back from that zone conference and they challenged us to like talk to 10 extra people a day?
Yeah. So we'd go walk.
And as soon as we got off the bus, when we came back, like we were going to 10 extra people, and it just started pouring down.
Yeah. One of the few times it rained every day, right? But that was like the heavens opened and it just
dropped. I think we hit our 10 people though, if I remember right. I think we got our 10, and then we booked it back to the flat.
Yeah.
Like we were soaked.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I think I remember one time we were talking to a lady and we were talking about, and I was like, have you ever thought about the authenticity of the Book of Mormon or considered it? Do you remember that? No?
No.
Was that? I can't remember if that was in our area. But I remember thinking like, I never talk like that. I don't know.
Where'd those words come from?
Where'd those words come from? Authenticity. Never said that a day in my life.
That's great.
We did do a lot of walk in that area.
A whole lot.
And we did the Call of Duty. That was Glen Parmenter, right? We did that Call of Duty.
Yeah, like Christmas Eve, I think.
Yeah.
Or New Year's Day or something. Well, we went and played golf. We played golf on New Year's Day.
We did with brother Black.
Yep. That was awesome.
That was fun. That was cold also too, I think.
Yeah, it was like winter.
Kahune.
I've been trying to remember his name. Yeah, some Hawaiian name.
Yeah, it was a Hawaiian guy. It was him and who else? Who was his companion? Was it Christofferson?
Christofferson or Schmidt?
I think it was Christofferson. So I think Christofferson. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. It was fun serving with the other elders in Kakati too.
Yeah, heaven then.
Bass. And we did some neat things, like we went to midnight services on Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. That was fun. We did that mass, that midnight mass.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else was there? I was just remembering something. I remember the Maitlands, Jargene.
And Jim.
Yep.
So I heard that Jim passed away. Jargene's still around.
I remember when I first got there, like he was just barely starting to come back to church.
Yeah, he thought that he was gonna die, so he came back.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's crazy. So yeah, all right.
He came back. He came back active. He came back strong.
Because I remember he was he became very staunch, I think.
Yeah.
But also he was like, you guys are telling me how like he could be mean to the missionaries or something. I don't know if that was some kind of initiation, but I remember he was one of the nicest guys.
When I first got there, he was a bit gruff. Like we would go eat there and he would eat in the other room and be like, Jim, you want a spiritual thought? Nope. But But then by the time you and I were companions, and by the time we left for sure, he was there with us, going on team teaches with us. I mean,
yeah, because I remember
super
we were there,
nice.
like, he was really nice. I'm like,
Yeah.
did they lie to me about this dude?
No, he just came around.
He did come around good.
Yeah.
Because he taught the lessons and stuff too, didn't he?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he taught some
I
of the
think,
lessons.
yeah, gospel principles, I think.
Yeah.
So, yep, good times.
Good times.
The other thing we've been asking everybody is, do you have any particular memories of the Vrienses as our mission presidents?
Vriens. Oh my gosh. So he always had that famous phrase. Was this the famous whoever he was talking to?
Yep.
And at first, I thought that was just for me. But apparently he said it to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. And then another time it was me and Elder, like we had just gotten off the ferry or something. We drove. But it was me and I think Elder Livingston. And like it was like early in the morning because we were about to do zone conference or something. And I guess he ran in the mornings. And I didn't know. And all of a sudden, like he's knocking on our window, scared.
In street clothes.
In street clothes. He scared me half to death. Like, it's like, hey, elders. That's like, whoa. And then one time I remember it was with Sister Vriens. Like we were they were doing their missionary interviews. And this was when I was with Elder Zinkowski. And I had written at home that I'm like, because with the whole debacle with Elder Zinkowski, I was just like I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I'm coming home. And so first, my brother had called me, and I talked to my brother. He was asking what was going on. I told him all about it. But then we were at these interviews, and I hadn't mentioned anything to Prisoner Sister Vriens, but Sister Vriens I was sitting in the chapel waiting for Elder Zinkowski to be done, or waiting for us to both go in.
Yeah.
I don't remember because we did them one at a time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Vriens one at a time.
Yeah. Okay. So I was waiting my turn, and Sister Vriens, she just comes up to me. She's like, "We need you here, Elder. Don't go home." And I was like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "We're glad that you're here. You need to be here." I was like, I just started to cry because I'm like, I don't remember telling you anything. Did I say something? I don't remember saying anything.
Wow.
And I was just one of the many times that I remember being on the mission and being like, the Lord knows me, and the Lord knows where I am and what I need.
Yeah.
And that President, Sister Vriens were in the right spot. They were definitely aware and close enough to the Spirit that Sister Vriens was able to listen to the Spirit to come talk to me, because it's very possible that things could have turned out very differently.
Yeah.
That I could have gone home, I think that was before I got to you.
That's pretty
That was
cool.
before I got to you.
That's really cool.
So, yeah, I need to get up and see them. I know that he's starting to. Is he?
Yeah, he has some dementia.
Interview. Yeah, that's what.
We had him on the podcast though.
Yeah, that's the one I got to listen to. It's probably one I'll listen to a lot. Just to hear
Definitely.
their voice. I miss them. Sister Vriens and her Miss Piggy.
Yeah. Everybody brings that up.
And they clean the house. Oh, I do remember. Do you remember that zone conference where they took the elders and the sisters
Separate.
and they separate?
Yeah.
Jeez. I was just thinking, really, guys? What's happening here? It's
Yep.
like, what is happening? But
That's what in talking to other people and the things that keep coming up about the Vriens is, I just realized like they were the people for the job at the time, and the way that President Vriens could correct you or correct us, but still have like all you felt was love
yeah,
coming from it. It's amazing. Like I aspire to that as a parent, to be able to correct my children, but them know that I love them.
that's good aspiration. And that's what I loved about President and Sister Vriens too. They just, I don't know, they just knew how to approach things. Like I just remember in every conversation I had with them or with Sister Vriens, like it was just loving. And I remember in one of the areas I was though when I was with Elder Stat in, like that was just like I wasn't putting up much of a fight. Like we weren't really being the missionaries that we should have been. And I broke a rule that I definitely shouldn't have. But I remember getting to Elder Jump, and Elder Jump got me to kind of confess.
Yeah.
But I thought it was grievous enough that I would be sent home. And so I thought he was going to send me home. I was like, are you going to send me home now? He's like, what good is that going to do? And it took me back a little bit. I was like, and then he told me that part of their job as mission president is to keep people on their missions as best as they can and to do all that they can to keep them on their missions. And I'm like, I guess that makes sense. And it also told me that, just because, we're still human, we're missionaries,
Yeah.
but that doesn't take away the human factor of us, making our mistakes. And so that taught me another valuable lesson that we're, as missionaries, we're still going to make mistakes, because you think that, because when you're younger and you look at missionaries, you think there's that perfect pedestal, they're on their mission, nothing can go wrong. You don't think about that other side of things, like, or what they're going through.
They're still human. They're still
human,
teenagers.
So when President Vriens said that to me, I'm just like, oh, all right, guess I'm staying here.
Yeah.
So
We actually believe in repentance.
I actually believe in repentance.
Yeah.
So,
That's cool. Well, Glenn, it's been great talking to you, reminiscing with you.
You too.
We'll talk a little more after I stop recording this, I guess. But
that sounds good.
we love you, man.
I love you too, brother.